Good morning, Austin New Church. How's everybody doing? It's good to see you. Oh my goodness. My name is Mark. It's good to be back. I've been everywhere but here. It's just one of those things, but it's always good to come home. I know we've got folks from all over the place and lots of people from all over the place on the live stream as well. So sound off in the comments there. It's one of my favorite things. It reminds me of passing notes in the bulletin. That's basically how our Facebook live stream is. We're making fun of the pastor the whole time. It's great. Welcome Darren and Hannah from New York. It's a good day. It's a good day for that. Let's get everybody to stand, sing with us a little bit, and we'll see what happens here.
Then It's okay. It's okay to be happy in here. Did you guys hear that violin?
Get it?
Woo! My heart is yours completely. My heart is yours only. I think sometimes when we gather in worship, we sing things that are almost hard to mean, hard to believe. My heart is yours completely. That's a hard thing to offer. But at the same time, it's kind of a reality we can't get away from as well. But I like to come together and sing these things because we live in this world of tension and brokenness, and life is really hard sometimes. So sometimes we need to throw those things out there as something we're moving towards. So let's sing this song together today. My heart is yours completely. My heart is yours only. You love with no reservation. You're not looking for perfection. Pretending. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. You deserve my full attention. Nothing less than my devotion. Oh, speak to me and I will listen. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. Oh, 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 you can have my heart. You can have my heart. Oh, oh, you can have my heart. Have my heart.
Be the Lord of my emotions. Set me free from selfish motives. Search me till there's nothing hidden. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. Have my heart. You can have my heart. Oh, 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 you can have my heart. You can have my heart. Oh, oh,
guys have a seat. As we're singing that, you can have my heart. It all belongs to you. I'm thinking of my friends in Haiti right now, whose lives are completely impossible. I don't know if you've been following the news, but a lot of it has fallen out of the news. But the gang crisis, assassination, earthquake, hurricane, further gang crisis has now devolved into a fuel crisis, and so there is no power in the country. No way to communicate, no way to get from place to place, and the problems are far bigger than any of us can even wrap our brains around. But as I communicate with our partners there through a satellite phone that we were able to get down there, they're resting in the fact that they do believe that God is in control. So we do have a quick message, actually, that we got a little while back from John, who's one of our staff members there in Haiti, to you guys, just to say thank you. And you'll hear more in the coming weeks about what Help One Now is doing to end the year. But here's a quick message for you guys from Puerto
Hello,
Rico.
Austin New Church. This is John Help One Now in Haiti. I'm currently here at Yavishama with the kiddos. We're here just to say thank you to you for everything that you have done for us. Thank you so much for your continued support that you give to this ministry. Our kids still getting everything that they need, and also they are able to go to school very well because of your generosity. Thank you so much for the ongoing support, Austin New Church family. And as well, it's been really hard this year in Haiti. Despite all, our kids are safe, grow, and beautiful. Thank you so much, guys, for all your generosity. Timon Kisanabdi.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. I can't help but smile when I see John. And just so you guys know, we have been able to have all of our partners. So there's 5 schools we work with in Haiti and 2 kids' homes. They have 2 to 3 months worth of food and supplies on hand. So we're okay, but it's just a little scary to see how long this is going on. So the future is uncertain.
Yeah, we think about how much it affects us, just the world, the COVID, all the things, and you just compounded with all the things you mentioned in Haiti. It's amazing. And to do it with such a beautiful outlook. I mean, such a great dude. Anyway, he was a kid when I was there. He was 19. Golly. Anyway. All right, so if you have small children, kiddos, this is the time. Last time we gathered, we couldn't do this because it was rainy. But today it's beautiful outside. If you'd like to go with Miss Stephanie and a few volunteers, they're going to take you to the playground. If that's something you'd be interested in doing, find your way to the back. Miss Stephanie's right down the middle aisle. You don't have to go, parents, but this is a break. So anyway, thank you guys. And thank you guys that helped us when we were off, no service last week. We had Restore Weekend. We did some amazing things. We packed 130 bags of candy for the kids at Santa Rita, which is the oldest housing community in Austin, also in the United States, one of the oldest in the United States. We also served with Austin Creative Reuse. We packaged recycled materials and got that to where they can turn and sell that so it's not filling up our landfills. And we also did landscaping and painting at Posada Esperanza. Just thank you guys. If you were able to participate with us, some of you also gave to the food pantry, which is also a great thing. We also do that for Santa Rita. Thank you guys for your continued support of those things. Next week, no, not next week. When is that? November 14th? That is next week. Holy cow. I'm playing basketball next week, is apparently what's happening. Well, I don't know. So the youth have an annual Turkey Bowl basketball something or another that I got roped into participating in this year. It's a fundraiser for a youth camp. And so if you're interested in that, there's a QR code on the screen. You can form a team, or we'll place you with a team. Click on the code. There's a sign up there. We'd love for anybody and everybody to also just come out and support, pack a lunch, bring it with you. It'll be a fun time. You'll probably get to see me pull a hamstring. All right? It's the first active thing I've done in like 2 years. Anyway, So then also the same day, November 14th, next Sunday, we also have open mic night, which I just recruited Jess for. So that's going to be put on by our ANC creatives. Sam is heading that up. People will read poetry, sing songs, show artwork, do whatever creative you can think of. That's what open mic night is for. Are we going to have any deaf comedy or what is it? Never mind. Anyway, you could do comedy, I guess. So mark your calendars. That's something, not if you're participating in it, it's great to be a part of, but also if you just want to come out, it's a great time. It's a good time to bring the whole family and sing along. I met some great people at the last one we had at this. Today, being a church, we're talking resurrection. We're resurrecting something that haven't done in a long time. First Sunday lunches. The Friels are here. Friels, wave at everybody. All stand up, please. Okay, so the Friels, you guys are going to go to ABGB, Austin Beer Garden something. Anyway, it's right down here on Old Torf to the right. Everybody heard of that? It's got pizza, it's got beer. It's amazing. And the Friels are going to be there. If you have been kind of like on the outsides and just going, hey, I'd like to meet a few folks from ANC, the Friels will be there en masse, both of them. And probably some other people, hopefully. So go over there and meet some great folks at ABGB after church. Thank you guys for your continued generosity, your giving. We're in a good spot as a church, and that's because of you. You guys have been generous throughout the pandemic and everything. Things are getting back to normal, I hope, I think. That's why we're doing the first Sunday lunch. We feel like as we continue to do this, it's just going to get better and better. So thank you for your generosity. If you would like to give, there's a giving link. Never mind. No, there's not. Never mind. If you'd like to give, you can't because we don't have a link for it. So I'll direct you to our website. There's a giving tab there, and then also there's an offering box on the way out the door that if you're new to us, fill out an info card, drop it in that box as well, and let us know how we can be praying for you, any needs that you have or know of. Jason Morris, y'all remember him? Raise a hand. What's it been, like 5 or 6 weeks? Anyway, he'll be back next week. He is ministering to his daughter this week in Mexico City at an F1 race. So who knew? He could have gone to one here last week. But anyway, he went to Mexico with her. And I think that's important. Your first ministry is to your families. Am I right? So I think it's beautiful that he got the chance to go do that with her. So if you will, stand up. Let's greet each other. Find somebody you don't know. Maybe somebody from a different part of town or different country, whatever. And then we're going over here. Hey, ANC folks from out of town or in town that are just being lazy today. I see you. Thanks for joining in. Stan, I saw you jump on a minute ago. Thanks for being here. I was talking about you a minute ago. We love you guys. We love every one of you that are tuning in. Love the comments. Drop in those comments on Facebook. Even YouTube, I sent out a greeting earlier, but just let us know where you're watching from. I hope the volume's better this week. I think it is. We found out what that was, and we turned it up just a little bit from the feed that goes into the computer. So we hear you. We pay attention there. You're important to us, and then we're gathering with the staff and board this week or next week. Anyway, out-of-towners, you're represented there by Dana Williams. She's got the virtual foyer after service that she's not attending, but I'll try to get on there. If you want to be, there'll be a comment link in the Facebook page. So, love you guys, miss you guys, see you soon, okay? Bye. Sorry, that was long.
All right. That's enough. Go to ABGB afterwards and continue that conversation. I hope you get to meet someone new. Good morning, everybody, and happy November. I'm so excited that it's November. I love this time of year for a lot of reasons, but One of them is that I get to rewatch some of the stories that I love, or re-experience stories. And I'm highly emotional these days, so it's helpful to me to rewatch things because I know exactly what I'm signing up for. I'm not going to get into a situation where I think I'm watching like a lighthearted comedy, and it turns into a deep exploration of undealt with trauma and grief, Ted Lasso. I'm not going to find myself in a situation where I think I've signed up for like a colorful, foreign cult hit, like game show looking thing that's a horrific, violent, stressful story, Squid Games. And I can avoid situations like the one I was at the gym recently, at the gym. I'm on the elliptical reading a novel that a used-to-be friend recommended as like a fun Shakespearean romp that has an unexpected and tragic death in the middle of it. And I get to this part, and my legs like stop ellipticaling, and I'm weeping into my mask. And people are wondering if I need help, and I do need help right now. And what I need is for stories to stick inside a very narrow genre, not surprise me, and tell me from the outset if it's something that I can handle in the third trimester. So I'm thrilled about all the holiday movies and stories to come. Unfortunately, this is not what the lectionary gives us this week. We have a very slippery story in front of us today. This one has changed genres on me at least 3 times. I was first introduced to it as what English teachers might refer to as like a hero's journey story. But when I returned to it as an adult, it struck me as more of a tragedy. And then the more I've sat with these past few weeks, I'm starting to experience it as a profound mystery. So I'd love to see what you see in this story. Let's take a look. We're reading from Mark 12, 38 through 44. Jesus denounces the scribes. As he taught, he said, "Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes and to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to have the best seats in the synagogues and places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses and for the sake of appearance say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation." The widow's offering. He sat down, Jesus, opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury, for all of them have contributed out of their abundance. But she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on." A hero's journey, a tragedy, and a mystery too, I think. If, like me, you grew up with this story, I wonder if you too were first introduced to this as the story of a hero. And as usual, Jesus takes us to the edge to find the center of things. We are not to look upon the religious elite, but the character whom everyone else looks past. I wonder, do you see the widow as a model contributor, an example of generosity? Were you taught that she instructs us about the mathematics of tithing, that what matters to God is not the amount that we give, but the attitude behind it, or perhaps the percentage? Do we learn through her that the true gift is to give all that we have towards God's kingdom? Perhaps, certainly, there is a story to be told here. For we would be foolish to imagine that even being here in church today or watching online costs each of us the same thing. It doesn't. Jesus sees beyond the action taken to the heart behind it, and he encourages us to develop this deeper gift of sight. One of my favorite C.S. Lewis quotes captures this challenge. He writes, "This is why Christians are told not to judge. We see only the results which a man's choices make out of his raw material. But God does not judge him on the raw material at all, but on what he has done with it. Most of the man or woman's psychological makeup is probably due to his body. When his body dies, all that will fall off him, and the real central man, the thing that chose, that made the best or worst out of this material, will stand naked. All sorts of nice things which we thought our own, but which were really due to a good digestion, will fall off some of us. All sorts of nasty things which were due to complexes or bad health will fall off others. We shall then, for the first time, see everyone as he or she really was. There will be surprises." These scribes in our story, for whom life has come easily, born into good homes and generational wealth, educated in schools with small classroom sizes and great college counseling, the members of a network that yields internships, signing bonuses, and promotions, teaching them how to charm and influence their way to long robes, window seats, and trading options. Jesus says it's all relative. We must look deeper at the motor inside, that which truly defines us, the thing that chose. And when we look at the scribes, who give only out of what they will not miss, we see a more shallow generosity than we see in the widow, who gave far less, but sacrificed far more. What becomes possible when we learn to see the world through these new metrics? How does it change not just how we aspire to participate, but how we perceive one another? We might begin to see that what it costs someone else to be with their family at the holidays is not the same as what it costs us. We might see that what it takes for that child to read out loud in class is not the same as what it takes for the others. For some of us, saying no might be an evasion or a shirking of responsibility, while for others, saying no is an act of tremendous courage. When we look at the story through this light, we might hear Jesus inviting us to see, or at least to imagine, the story underneath the surface activity, the meaning under the measurement. And so perhaps he does praise the widow as a hero, the same way he praises you when you don't blow up at the ref at your child's soccer game, an act of withholding which costs the parent standing next to you nothing, but reflects your lifelong journey to control the rage you were raised to perceive was normal. The same way God praises you when you take one small step towards community, when you show up to the first Sunday brunch today, even if you won't know anybody. Not you extroverts, but those of you who struggle with social anxiety. God sees that it costs you more, even if no one else does. And she praises the courage behind this offering. There are many among us in this community, many of you sitting here, who carry deep church pain, who have been excluded or shamed or stolen from in the name of a God you no longer recognize. And you may be on your last penny when it comes to spiritual community. Maybe you're sitting in the back or you're watching us online with every reason not to. You may need to soak in the comfort of anonymity for a season, to take a back seat from serving or giving. Your very presence here may cost you more than some of us can imagine. And if your story has given you reason to despair, I hope that you hear today that your bit of hope and courage, however minuscule it feels, is itself a heroic offering. The band's going to play a few verses of an old hymn. And as we listen, there'll be some questions to reflect on the screen. And then we'll continue to examine how this story might function through another lens. But perhaps it is a hero's story. The story of a woman who sacrificed that which meant nothing to the world, but which Jesus saw meant everything to her. Perhaps it is an invitation for us to be just as brave.
Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to you. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for you.
Yes, this might be the story of a hero, but then again, it might be a tragedy. Let's look back at verse 40, where Jesus condemns the behavior of the religious elite. They devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearance, say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation. If Jesus denounces the devouring of widows' houses, then how could he possibly be pleased with what unfolds here? What if he doesn't draw attention to the widow with a spirit of praise, but a spirit of lament or even anger for the system and the values that conditioned her to give all she had, so that the leaders may continue to live lives of wealth and comfort? This is not an attack on Jewish religious practice. It might be an attack on any religious institution that protects and perpetuates egotism and greed as it oppresses those in need. After all, if we zoom out a bit, Mark situates this moment with the widow inside of a larger critique and a very gloomy forecast for the temple. It comes after Jesus curses the fig tree for failing to produce good fruit, and just after the widow's story, Jesus will foretell of the destruction of the temple. And we'll take a closer look at that passage next week. But for our purposes today, it's worth considering the implication that the woman has just given the last of what she had to live on to a failing institution. Is there some tragic irony here? Was her gift a waste? You know, for all the social ills that Christians have decided that Jesus was against and taken up the charge to vocally condemn, we conveniently, historically overlook greed, don't we? This well-camouflaged evil goes unchecked in the most powerful of places, including our churches. These temples were meant to provide for people experiencing poverty, and instead they took from them in order to dress the scribes in fancy clothes and throw great banquets, and Jesus is having none of it. For it is not possible to have a true mystical encounter of unity with God that does not include unity with all of life. As it is written in 1 John, you can't love God and not people. So how then could an entire religious system have become so forgetful of those who are suffering, those who are central to God's concern? Love would not allow that. How have we, as church leaders, manipulated and valorized sacrifice to protect our own security? Love would not allow that. How have churches conditioned you to give of your time, your energy, your resources until you had next to nothing left for your families or your own health? Love would not allow that. How has the white American church directed its resources towards political allegiances and policies that continue to punish those burdened by poverty? Love would not allow that. How is it that the most Christian states are the most structurally racist? Love would not allow that. How have we given to those who are suffering only out of what we had to spare, refusing to experience discomfort in the pursuit of equity? How have we perpetuated an economic status quo that protects the few and punishes the rest? Love would not allow that. And how have we, ANC, at times inside these walls on South Lamar, gathered around a message of inclusion and justice work in order to preserve our progressive status, our appearance and influence, rather than to actually participate in the liberation of those we say we exist to serve? Love would not allow that. And yet, we have, at times, haven't we? If what is rising up in you is shame, I hope you can name and release that feeling. For there is grace waiting in the wings, ready to transform our shame to lament and to awareness, which are far more productive places to work from. So let's return to the words of this hymn together and take another moment to reflect. Because perhaps this story is a tragedy and an opportunity for us to lament and to recommit to building God's kingdom, a more equitable world together.
Take my voice and let me sing, always only for my King. Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from thee. Take my silver and my gold, not a mite would I withhold. Take my intellect and use every power as you choose.
This is the story of a hero, somehow, and this story is a tragedy, somehow. So if it is both, then at some paradoxical core, it is also a profound mystery. Aren't we all trying to be faithful inside of failing systems? Let's not forget, the woman in this story had a choice to make. To view her only as some saintly generosity robot or as a victim of coercion is to deny her humanity, her agency, the thing that chose. And the choice was not just to make a financial contribution, but to, as Jesus points out, offer her whole life. And those words should echo in our ears as this is the last scene in Jesus' public ministry. What follows is the passion narrative in which Jesus, too, will lay down his whole life. He will do so in an act of solidarity with the suffering. And like the widow, he too will give his offering to a misguided system and people so broken that we, would sanction the murder of the very face of love. As Richard Rohr says, most Christians simply worship the historical event of Jesus and thank him for it instead of setting out on the same path ourselves. But in the unnamed widow in our story, we see her choice foreshadowing and embodying that of Jesus. What is this outpouring of love with every reason to withhold? What is this faith in the promise of God's kingdom of justice and peace expressed inside a present reality of inequality and conflict? We might be tempted to look upon the widow and Jesus as fools. But in stories that take place in an absurd and brutal world, the fools are the ones to pay attention to, for the reasonable ones are in compliance with chaos. The fools place worth where the common folk do not see it. The fools see that the meaning does not belong to the number of coins in our pocket, the prestige and power we enjoy, nor is it in the buildings we erect or the legacies we protect, but in some mysterious expression of love that lies beyond. The mystics can freely give of that which we all cling to, and in doing so, they embody this faith in that which defies our ingrained system of measurement. That is, faith in a reality defined by the hope of rebirth, restitution, and restoration. Faith that failing religious regimes can be resurrected. Faith that love destroyed can be redeemed. But what if my investment isn't safe, we wonder? What if what I have to offer is penny-sized and won't make a dent in alleviating the suffering in my city? Haiti's experienced another earthquake. What does that mean for the nonprofit I support? What if I withdraw my support from a school or a company that hurts those in need and nothing changes? What if no one notices? What if I don't have enough left? Or, the question that keeps me up at night these days, what if the church is beyond resuscitation? People were leaving the American church long before COVID, and now they aren't all coming back. Are we as foolish as a widow offering our lives to a dying project? There's a governing document from a Presbyterian church that I stumbled across this week, and I want to close by reading you this excerpt. They wrote, "The church is called to be a sign in and for the world of the new reality which God has made available in Jesus Christ." How? By healing and reconciling and binding up wounds, ministering to the needs of the poor, the sick, the lonely, and the powerless, engaging in the struggle to free people from sin, fear, oppression, hunger, and injustice, giving itself and its substances to the service of those who suffer. The church is called to undertake this mission, even at the risk of losing its life. The church is called to undertake this mission, even at the risk of losing its life. Maybe our oxygen won't be found in what we can recover of the thing we thought we knew, but in what we can surrender. For it could not have been the security of the widow's investment that compelled her to offer what she had. What if her act of release was simply an authentic response to love? Jesus models this technology over and over again, and it is through the practice of release that we can untangle ourselves from a story of climbing and hoarding and climbing and hoarding to participate in the mystery of mutual empowerment. For we will never accumulate our way to a life rooted in love. Yes, what if the widow and her penny is a holy mystery, one we were never invited to solve, but to trust, to step into and experience for ourselves? I invite you to stand. We're going to sing this song together now that Mark has been playing and Christabel, and sing the final verses as a community. Whether you have a high decibel level of faith today or just a whisper, any action of release is sacred, no matter how grand or small. And as we sing, let's be open to how the Spirit might be inviting each of us to release in our own way this week. Maybe it's our resources, but maybe it's our time, our spirit of judgment, our status seeking, our control, our fear. Let's sing together.
Take my will and make it thine. It shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is thine own. It shall be thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, I pour at your feet its treasure store. Take myself and I will be ever only offer thee. Take myself and I will be ever only offer thee. Here am I, all of me. Take my myself and I will be ever only offer thee. Take myself and I will be ever only offer thee. Take myself and I will be ever only offer thee.
One of the elements of worship that we participate in every week is taking communion together. And we celebrate the fact that we have a safe place to come together, a safe place to worship and hear the word, and a safe table that we're all included at. I was sitting over there thinking during that song about communion, and I grew up, went to Catholic school. Not being a Catholic, I was not allowed to participate in communion. And so I actually take it very personally every week when we get to come together and move to the table, no matter what our faith background is, no matter what our anything is. This table's open. And so the way that we do this at ANC is that we move to the tables and we have the little prepackaged deals just for COVID purposes. You have your own little deal. You unwrap the top and it's got the wafer, and then peel it back and it's got the juice. You'll go in the next song. We're just going to play one more song. Go in this song, grab that, come back to your spot there. As you're singing, as you're reflecting, take the communion elements and just be blessed by that we're able to and encouraged to come to the table with Jesus every week. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer together. After I kind of give a brief description, we'll say the Lord's Prayer together, and then we'll move to the tables and take communion. But on the night before he is betrayed, on the night he was betrayed, actually, Jesus gathered with his friends at the table for dinner. And as they were eating, he grabbed the bread and he broke it and he said, "This is my body broken for you. Whenever you get together with others or by yourself and you eat this bread, think of me. Do it in remembrance of me." And as they worked their way through dinner, they were finished with dinner and they were reclining at the table, Jesus took the cup and he said, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Whenever you take this drink, do it in remembrance of me." And so that's all we're doing this morning. It's just we're identifying with, we're remembering Jesus and the sacrifice that he made and just the beauty of that whole exchange. So let's say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever sing. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, Lord, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me.
You can remain on your feet if you're able. We'll close with these words as a benediction. This comes to us from our poet, Mark Williams. He writes, "Here is a prayer you can pray if parables make you defensive. Lord, take me back. I used to be on your side, but that was before I had money and before I spent it on good reasons to keep it. Here is a benediction for those on whom the Pharisees have grown. Today, when you ask, what would it take to take God's side in next week's parable, may you finally get your answer. May it be cataclysmic, like a drawer turned upside down, and afterwards, the quiet. Go in pieces." Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you at ABGB or next week.